Mr. Streeter, thank you very much for that and for calling me. And I join others in paying tribute to my honourable friend and member for Weaver Vale for continuing the good work that our former colleague David Hanson did in continuing to keep this issue very much in front of members of this House. I have taken part in a number of debates in which the Minister has responded, and I genuinely believe that he is serious about wanting to tackle the epidemic of violence that is now facing shop workers in this country. My honourable friend referenced the figures from USDAW, a great campaigning union, as others have alluded to, of some 288 incidents of violence against shop workers a year in 2018. I understand that the figures for last year show a further steep rise in the incidents of violence, which only underline the importance of this debate and the need for the government to respond appropriately to the rising tide of evidence that action is needed. But I wanted to focus my remarks specifically, Mr. Streeter, on the work of Dr. Emmeline Taylor, who is a leading criminologist who was asked by the Co-op group to explore the context, the reasonings, the reason behind and the growing level of violence faced by Co-op group employees. And she came up with 7 clear recommendations to government, which I wanted to put on the record, and perhaps the Minister will be good enough to address each of those 7 recommendations, if not today, then at some point in the future. Others have already referenced the need for a specific standalone offence in terms of additional protection against retail workers. So let me concentrate on the other 6. The first that she recommended was a review of the Anti-Social Behaviour Crime and Policing Act that was passed in 2014, which specifically introduced the £200 threshold, which my honourable friend for Birmingham referenced as being a significant problem in creating expectations that people could get away with shoplifting. And it'd be good to hear whether the Minister accepts that that is a problem and that a review is underway. Of course.
I agree with the honourable member in his comments about the £200 threshold, and I've raised this with my own police force, Humberside, who do tell me that they don't treat it as an absolute, and they will treat each case as a matter of priority. And I think it's vital that message, and I hope the Minister can confirm this when he speaks later, that message goes out to police forces up and down the country, that he's not absolute, and some cases deserve much more attention than others.
Well, it's interesting the member says that, and I welcome the comments he's made and the conversations he's had. The lack of prosecutions suggests that the issue is not still being taken seriously enough by the Crown Prosecution Service or by the understaffed police forces that exist in our country. And I hope that that will be something that the Minister will be able to demonstrate is going to change.
I'm grateful to my honourable friend for giving way. Wouldn't he agree with me that the problem with the £200 threshold is that it's putting a monetary value on something when, as my honourable friend from Weaver Vale demonstrated in his opening speech, the consequences of those offences are much greater than in personal terms than the actual monetary value.
Well, my honourable friend is absolutely right, and the fact that post-traumatic stress disorder is being suffered by a number of shop workers who've been on the receiving end of intimidation or indeed actual violence is a powerful demonstration of the point that he's made. Dr. Emmeline Taylor recommended a publicity campaign to promote zero tolerance of violence towards shop workers, which seems eminently sensible, comparatively easy for government to encourage and to make happen, and it'd be good to hear from the Minister as to whether he supports, will support such change going forward. She recommends that expectations are changed regarding age-restricted sales, so that the expectation is more often that one has to provide evidence that one is old enough to purchase age-restricted items such as alcohol, knives, aerosol paint and tobacco. Again, that seems eminently sensible. Measuring those hate-motivated offences in shops. Hate-motivated crime was one of the drivers that she identified behind the increase in violence against shop workers. Drug testing on arrest for shop theft and violence against shop workers. Again, the rise in drug usage, particularly of heroin and other substances, was something that she identified, again, as a significant problem. Whereas there had been a sharp decline in the availability of services to help people deal with such addictions. And again, it would be interesting to hear from the Minister whether the rise in police numbers is going to be matched by a rise in access to drug and alcohol treatment services. And again, whether he specifically supports drug testing on arrest for shop theft and violence. And lastly, streamlining the reporting of incidents to the police and an effort to improve the accuracy of data so that we can properly understand and, over time, tackle the sheer scale of violence against shop workers that we all are able to report anecdotally, quite clearly, is on the rise. But without accurate data, will make it clearly more difficult to be handled. I look forward to the Minister's response on those points, and again, congratulate my honourable friend and others for keeping this campaign very much alive in the House.
Thank you very much. Thank you.